What's going on, y'all? Sounds here with another beat making tip video. In this video, what I'm going to talk about is hiding samples in your beats. In this case, I actually kind of did this, I don't want to say by accident, but I was kind of forced to do it. I talked about doing this before when I talked about doing the Jay-Z sampling trick where Ski Beats made the Dead Presidents beat. He did the same thing. A lot of people do this in hip-hop. But in this case, I was forced to do it, and it was kind of, it's a little bit different, you know, as far as the reason for me doing this. And the reason for me doing this is because I did this sample, I chopped it up and everything, right? It has 3 different parts to it that I chopped up. And the part that I used for the hook had a bass line in it. But the parts that I used, there's 2 different parts I used for the verses that didn't have a bass line. So only the hook had the bass line. And when the verses were dropping, I wanted a bass line in there. Now what happened and why I was forced to actually do this trick is that when I sampled this beat, I tuned it and everything, but I didn't tune it to the keyboard. And that's where the problem came. Because I wanted to drop a bass line in the verse and I couldn't play one. So basically I had to figure something out as far as playing the bass line. So instead of me playing the bass line, I said, you know what, I'm gonna try and use the part in the hook where there is a bass line and kind of just EQ it, take all the highs out and turn the bass up a little bit so you can hear the bass more, and hide it underneath the sample that is in the verse. Now when I did this, and the hook part drops, there's a lot more sounds that come in. So the parts that I had to hide in there were all those other sounds. All I wanted was the bass line. So I had to hide all those sounds so you couldn't hear them within the verse. So here's, I'm going to show you what the verse sounds like. I'm going to just let it build up. I'm going to play you the last 8 bars of the verse part going into the hook. You're going to hear some strings come in the last 4 bars of it. And the first 8 bars, it just starts with the piano, then you're going to hear the strings come in, and then for the hook you're going to hear the bass and all the other sounds that come in. So I'll play that real quick so you can hear that. So I don't know if you could hear the bass or not, but there is a bass line in the hook when it drops. So what I had to do is just take that part. I just copied it and here, right here on the screen, if you can see that. On this side, I don't know if you can see that right there. On this side, I got all my highs. I turned them all down. You can see it right here, and then I turned the bass up on this side. And this part right here is where the hook is. In the regular part of the sample where the hook drops and everything is turned up. So I just filtered it out. Let me show you what it sounds like once I filtered everything out on the hook right here. I don't know if you can hear that. Turn it up a little bit. Alright, so that's the same part from the hook with all the highs turned down. Now I'm going to play the part where that part is hidden, and I'm going to play it with the regular verse part over it too. So I got both samples playing at the same time. There's 2 different parts of the sample playing at once. Alright, so that's what it sounds like right there once I did that. And I mean, just remember, sometimes when you're making beats, you're gonna have to do stuff on the fly. There's gonna be stuff, you know, that happens when you're making a beat, and especially when you're sampling, where you might have to get creative because you didn't think that, you know, this is what was gonna happen. You come up with an idea where you want to drop a bass line just like I had right here, and I couldn't drop one unless I had that part in the sample. So luckily I had that part with the bass in it, and I was able to filter it out and do what I had to do with it to create that bass line in there. Alright, so I mean, just remember that, keep that in mind, that sometimes you got to get creative. So this is Sound signing off. That's all I got for today, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace out.